Good evening, all. I hope we're live. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to start slightly earlier this evening just because we have done a couple of different bits with the microphones, and I want to check that they're working before we actually hit 7 o'clock. So if you could do me a big favour, let me know in the comments if you can hear me. And come on, Pete, can you hear Peter?
Evening all.
So we're aiming for you to hear both of us this evening. We have new settings, new microphones. Please let us know if you can hear us, if you can see us, and if we're coming across loud and clear. It's always tricky with technology. However many sort of tests runs we do, it's never actually adamant that it's all going to work on the night. So let us know. We've tested it, but it'll be nice to know. So once again, evening from me and
Evening all.
from Peter.
From me.
You're aiming to hear both of us if possible. So please let us know in the comments before I start waffling too much. Now I can see that Lynn is with us. Lynn, you're here early. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for being early. We genuinely are a couple of minutes early, which is fine for this because most people won't be here till 7. But when you watch this back on sort of catch up, apologies, because you're going to have me sort of waffling for a couple of minutes till we get to 7 o'clock. So I can see a few of you are joining us, which is absolutely lovely. And apologies for being early. We did want to just test the mics and make sure that you can hear us both. But we are both with you this evening. And we'll be here for about an hour. We're going to do a couple of demos to hopefully give you a bit of inspiration. Last week, I promised you that we would make one of our little booklet cards. And we would chat a little bit about how you make these. And I'll give you a few measurements and bits to hopefully give you a bit of inspiration on how you can be creating those. Now, again, I've done it again, Pete. I forgot to ask you, are we going to post the bits out tonight that we make?
I think they'd lynch us if we didn't.
I think we ought to. The only question I could come up with was, what's your favourite book? Because we're making our book as one of the demos. I thought that'd be a nice question.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So, okay, we'll repeat this many times throughout the next hour. But if you would like to win what we make tonight, let us know in the comments what's your favourite book. Now, it can be from childhood, it can be from now, it can be from any point you wish, it can be any type of book. Personally, mine would be a travel brochure. They're the ones that I actually read, pay attention to, and try and digest so I can book lovely holidays. Not that I've done that for a while. But yeah, so anything will work. Just let us know what your favourites are. And genuinely, you might inspire us to read or listen to a different book, or possibly even watch the film of the book, which is probably more likely where I'm sitting. I'm not a big reader, but I know a lot of you like to read your books. I don't think that I actually have read a proper book since leaving school. Probably. I did try once, but that didn't go down very well. But I won't bore you with any of this anyway. So good evening to Kim. Hello, Wendy. Lovely to have you with us. Evening, Maureen. Lovely to have you here. Sharon. Evening, Alison. So how are we all today? Are we all well? Have we had a good day? Are we having a good week? Did you all catch us on Highlight Crafts earlier in the week? I say that it is earlier this week, wasn't it? Yes, it was Tuesday.
Seems like forever ago.
It was Tuesday,
only 2 days,
it?
I think.
It was only a couple of days. Honestly, the life is just a blur. But yeah, we had our lovely Highlight Crafts shows on Tuesday. And I know many of you joined in, and I have gone back and read as many comments as I possibly can. On the Highlight Crafts page, on their share of just one of the shows, there was over 930 comments. And I've done my best to check all of them and make sure that I've answered all of your points. And that's before I sort of try and track down both shows and go between all of the different platforms it's shared on. But I have tried my best to answer any of your questions, whether they come through live or that I've caught up with since. If you have any questions, then please let me know and I will do my best to answer them for you this evening, because that is what this is all about. Now, we will go and do a couple of demos and hopefully give you a bit of inspiration, but equally don't be afraid to jump in there with your questions, because that is what we're all about, is trying to answer them and help you with those bits. Now, if there's anybody who has joined us since we've started waffling and since we've hit 7 o'clock, this evening we will be giving away anything I make. Not going to guarantee it's going to be amazing, but we'll give away anything I make to anywhere in the world. All you've got to do for me is put into the comments what your favourite book is. Because we will be making one of our book cards, I thought it would be relevant to ask you what your favourite book is. So I will remind you of that as we go through the evening. Now, good evening to Marion. Oh, Lynn's The Lord of the Rings. I tried to watch the films once. I think I fell asleep, Lynn.
I think I did too.
Yeah, I don't think I did it very well with them. And I feel I'm missing something. So I need to go back. I often feel this. I could do with a catch up on things like that. Fell asleep through most of the Harry Potter ones as well. That all got a bit too clever for me. Caught up with the first one, and that was about it. Evening, Marion. Evening, Margaret. Hello, Samantha. Missed the live as mum taken to hospital. Oh, I hope all's good. Oh, all good now. That's good to hear, Kim. Hope she's well though and keeping bright and spirits are high. And you can always catch up. Never forget, you can always catch up. And I've had a lot of questions about where can we catch up with the Highlight Craft shows. You can do that on the same page you're watching this live on. We broadcast them on the Jamie Rodgers Crafts page. So you can literally just scroll down the page, and in between all of my different posts, you will find the lives from the Highlight Crafts shows. You can also go to the Highlight Crafts website, and they're on there. And you can also watch them on the Highlight Crafts Facebook page. So lots of places you can catch up with those. Now, the good news today is that our brand new collection, our tile collection, is now available at all of our stockists as well. Now, I have a feeling that you've probably watched this last week, and you've possibly watched us on Highlight Crafts, which I believe still have it available as well. But just in case you haven't, should we do a very quick run through of it, just so you've got the idea? And we will be using this throughout this evening, so it'll be nice if you haven't seen it, for you to have a little catch up. So in this collection, I promise this will be quick. I haven't got loads of samples and bits or even the boards to share with you. It'll just be quick, but if you've got questions, let me know and I'll answer them for you. In the tile collection, there are 3 DL stamps. You have got your sort of Moroccan tiles. This is ornate patterns. We've got our happy birthday set, which is great because it will literally take you for a lot of occasions this year, even from like the champagne glasses for New Year's Eve, maybe the presents for Christmas, and then of course you've got your wording as well. You've even got a little candle in there too. Then you've got your butterfly florals. So this one's got the big with love in it. You've got lots of flowers and butterflies, very pretty bits. Then you've got your die set, which matches up with all of these stamps and gives you more sizes so that you can go in and you can cut all of these items out, or you can cut mats to go behind them, or you can cut wider apertures to sink these items into. Genuinely, this opens up a whole world of possibilities. Then you've got your elegant butterfly oval. So this not only gives you the oval aspect, it also matches in with the tile element, meaning that you can stamp all of these on top of this because you don't have to put the lattice in there if you don't want to. And you've also got 4 matching corners that coordinate perfectly with the design. And these again have matching inside and outside elements so that you can choose to cut them in, cut them out, or layer them as such. So loads of versatility with those. Then we move on to our stencils. Now, I absolutely love this set, and I'd love to know if this is one that you've purchased as well already, because these are giving you 12 pieces. You've got 6 different sizes of cutout, and you've got the pieces as well, meaning that you can stamp these, you can bring over your outside area and then colour in, or you can bring in the parts that come out of the middle and layer them over the top, so you can then mist and colour and create from around your stamped image. You can also do letter pressing with these, you can emboss with these, there's loads you can do with them. To me, this is one of the unsung heroes of this collection. Then we move on and we have 3 different or different sizes of ornate tile stencils, small, medium and large. These can be embossed, you can do letter pressing with these, and again they match up perfectly with the stamps, so if you wish to stamp the images inside the apertures, you can do. Now the stamps don't tile, they don't tessellate, I think I'm doing that right, together on their own. You will either need the die or the stencils to do that for you, because then you're going to have the spacing, whether it's with the extra edge around the dies or the extra edge around the stencils, to give you the areas to match those up. So again, real game changer, great to have in your collection. Then on top of that, this release has even more to offer. Oh, we'll come to those in a second. We have got for you 5 brand new, and this is what we're going to be used to making our book tonight. We've got 5 brand new rectangle matte and layers collection additions, and we have got the fluted rectangles, we have got the posted rectangles, we have got the plain rectangles, and then we have got the decollage with the stitches and the scallops with the piercing. Now I know you've seen me talk about these lots of times because these are very similar to what the square set are, but in a new rectangular format. These have separate pierce and stitch lines which we can bring out and yo-yo and use throughout the whole collection. So you might choose to use the scalloped edge, add in the stitch line, and then place maybe the flat edge onto the inside of it to cut frames. That's just one example. The options between the 5 sets I wouldn't even want to try and hazard a guess how many variations you could come up with. And that's before you think about introducing the squares into this setup, or maybe the future shapes that are coming out as well to go with them. But genuinely, I would say endless options. And I'm sure there is a mathematical equation we could do, but I think you're going to be pretty impressed with the number. Lots you could be doing with those. Then the last thing in this collection that released today, I like that bit, today, available everywhere from all of our stockists, is our brand new metallic inks. And you have got silver lining, sea breeze blue, brushed gold, royal purple, and black suede. Now, I know a lot of you joined me for last week's live, and we will cover some different techniques for these, and we will play around with them a little bit throughout tonight. But it's nice for you to just get a quick overview of the complete collection that released today. So you've got stamps, you've got dies, you've got stencils, you've then got your layering dies, and you've got your metallic inks. There are also new additions in blending mats that we'll be using this evening, and there are new additions with double-sided tape and mylar sheets. So lots and lots going on. Now here is the important bit. Come on, stockists, if you're with us this evening, any stockist that's here, if you've got it from anywhere around the world, because I know our lovely distributor in America, which actually distributes across America and Canada now, is possibly live and sending these bits out to you. So whether you've got them on order, whether you've got them in store, if you're one of our stockists and you've got these available, or you're going to have them available shortly, let us know in the comments. Give us a link. Let us know what the situation is. Are they with you? Are they coming soon? Tell the world that these bits are here and are all en route, so that we can all help support you. Because you know, here at Jamie Rodgers Crafts, it is all about working with our stockists. We do not sell direct, so it is a case of going to our stockist list, which you will find on our website, which is www.jamierodgerscrafts.com, and you'll find the stockist list in the menu. If you give that a click, it will open up and it will tell you all of our current stockists we have online around the world. Now, I do know that we've just added a brand new one, which hasn't yet made the list, and obviously they haven't yet got their products because they only ordered yesterday or today maybe. But we have welcomed J-Craft in Australia onto our stockist list, and that will be added shortly as their parcel arrives, and then we can tell you a bit more about them. But J-Craft are amazing, lovely lady called Jeanette who runs that company, and I know she does an awful lot of shows and bits, and I'm sure she'll be sharing inspiration once the products have arrived with her as well. But yeah, so any other stockists, let us know in the comments that you're with us. It's always lovely to know you're here on our lovely Thursday night natters, and nice to be able to give you a little shout out and tell the world that you're here with us. So have we missed anything? Let's have a little look. Kim, we are discussing books because that is your question this evening. Well, I'm going to make some bits if I ever stop waffling, and whatever I make, we're going to let one lucky winner win them. So all you have to do to enter that competition is let me know in the comments what your favourite book is. And Peter, before we go off tonight, will let us know who's won, and then we will get your details and we'll pop them in the post for you. It's just a little way of giving back something. It's always important for us to give a little something. So whatever I make, once I've stopped waffling, I promise we'll pick a winner to win. And I'd just like to know what's going on, really. What books do you like? Have we missed anything? I feel I've just got to scroll up. Sorry, Pete's fell asleep on me over in the comments. So let's see if I've missed anyone or anything. The comments appear to be freezing, Fran. That might be you, that might be everybody. Let us know if you're also experiencing that. It's always hard to know if it's one person or everybody, isn't it, from our side? Sharon loves these dies. You're a bit biased, Sharon. You're on our lovely design team, but it is lovely to hear that you like them. Old Jean's waiting for the postie. We like that. I know that you've got some exciting products on the way to you. I believe I was part of the packing crew for your order. Let's have a little look. Oh, lots of you telling us that you've got bits coming on your way. Diane, I'm so pleased you like it. That's nice to see. Oh, Deborah's got a collection in her basket. That's lovely to see. I love all the PD James books. Oh, do you? I'm going to pretend like I know who that is because I know.
She used to have a house in Southwold,
oh,
over the road from our restaurant.
Apparently she has a house. I don't know. Can you hear, Pete? You're going to have to let me know.
Yeah, I think they can. I've had a few comments that they're
because if not, I'm going to have to just keep repeating everything he says. So I don't really know book-wise if I had to actually pick a proper book. I don't know. I'll give it some thought. It was a bit of a a shock to the system. So, okay, let's get on, shall we? I told you tonight we would make a book card. Now, these are really easy to do, to be fair, so it's nothing too complicated. So shall we get started and do some cutting? So I'm going to be using the Pro Cut tonight because that's the electronic machine I have to hand, and we're going to bring in our rectangle dies. Now, for our books, and you don't have to use these, of course, you know, it's not vital that it's this set at all. It's just these are the ones I'm working with because they're my faves. So we're going to start off and we're going to use the largest from the fluted die set. And this is to cut the cover of the booklet. We're then going to go into the scallop set. So the scalloped are the ones that also come with the pierced dies. And we're going to go for the largest of the pierced elements. And we're going to lay that on the inside of that frame so that that fits perfectly. So that as this cuts, we're also going to receive that pierced detail. Now here is the fun bit, picking the colour for your booklet. So I'm going to go for some of our night sky navy. I've already got mine cut, if I'm being honest with you, but we're going to cut one in night sky navy so that you can see these cutting, because I always think that's nice for you to see. So as I mentioned, this will cut the outside edge. It's going to do our pierced detail for us on the inside of it. And of course you could add in more if you wanted. You could add in more pierced lines if you wish to. You could go down in sizes with your pierced pieces, and you could actually create a front cover. Now, I haven't done the covers to my books, as in decorated them, and that's, I suppose, just being slightly lazy. But you could do if you wanted to. So this is cut perfectly fine. I can take this bit away. I could keep hold of that to do all of my other pieces, like my borders or my flowers, for instance, or any other bits I want. But to be honest with you, it is, of course, this piece that I'm after. So we have created our pierced detailing running around the inside of the fluted edge. Now, for your book, I would recommend that you create 2 of these. You've got 2 panels. If you don't have these dies, or you're wondering size-wise what we're looking at, approximately 20 centimetres by 15, which converts in inches to 5 3/4 by about 8 inches to give you a rough size idea of what you're looking at for your front cover. Now, what I meant there about adding more details for your front covers, so maybe you literally want to make the front of the booklet stand out, you could of course bring in your other pierced dies to create the front of that, or you could bring in one of the layered dies and add that to go on the front too. Or you might have the other sizes and styles of these already, and you might pick that you want to bring in, for instance, one of the squares that's going to coordinate and actually make like a little picture to go on the front of there maybe, or turn it to a diamond with one of the smaller sizes. But you could certainly add in more or layer more on top if you wish to, so it all coordinates together. That's always the aim. That's always why we bring you so many options with the layering dies, is so that you can make every part of your project coordinate if that's what you would like to do. Now we're going to go in next to our decor edge and stitched detail dies, and we're going to go to the next size down. So not the largest, because we know that we've done the cover out of the largest. So we're going to go to the next size down, and I'm going to use the stitch element, and I'm going to use the decal element. Now I'm going to be slightly wasteful here. You can actually turn that sideways so that you can get 2 out of a page if I remember rightly, but I only need 1 for this stage. So we're just going to go with 1 piece. And we're going to cut this from the Decadent Ivory Elite cardstock. So my cardstock is 300 GSM, so it's a really good weight, especially when we're talking about building, constructing and making elements that are going to stand the test of time. You could of course use a lighter weight if you wish to. The pages could even be done out of vellums and papers and bits like that if you prefer. It certainly doesn't have to be out of this standard of card, but it's nice for you to know what I'm using so you've got an idea. Now, if I miss any questions, Pete, please don't hesitate to let me know. And if we get any funny books, let me know about them too. Not that I'd really know if they were funny or not.
Well, no one's mentioned 50 Shades yet. But,
no, well, don't encourage it. You can't go encouraging that sort of chat. Facebook will never let us publish the video.
I realise how uncultured I am with all these different names. I've never heard of half of these people.
No, never heard of them.
No,
we just don't know them.
I feel very uneducated. No.
We're not book readers at all, are we?
No.
In any way.
But no, the only sort of real question, which I don't know what the answer is. This Deborah Lee, Jamie, is this your last collection before Christmas?
Oh,
That's a very good question.
that is a very good question. And I'd like to tell you I had an answer to that one. I'm going to...
There's something, but...
There should be another collection. See, you can't ask questions like this, Deborah, because then I get told off because I tell you everything. If everything went to plan, and I don't know if it will go to plan because of life doesn't go to plan, and that isn't a moan, it's just an honest sort of comment, there might be a little release of something and then maybe another release, but I don't know. It's always very hard because we know what we'd like to do and we'd know what we'd like to turn up and when we'd like it to turn up, but reality is it doesn't always happen just as we want it to. But if we can, then yeah, we've got a few bits to try and squidge in before Christmas. And it's tricky for us, being honest, and I like to give you honesty on these lives. I know that everyone's going to stop thinking about crafting and go to thinking about Christmas because we all do, don't we? That's what life is. So it's very hard for us as a company to bring out another big collection or anything really, knowing that we're going to be distracted. You're going to be distracted. We're going to be distracted. But on the other side of the coin, it seems really boring to wait all the way to January till we bring you something more. So yeah, watch this space. You know me, I'll tell you more as I know it for sure. But there's certainly, from our side, at this point, plans for more this side of Christmas. But I'll keep you posted. Okay, so we've got our pages done. And, well, I have, because I've cheated and I've gone ahead and I've cut them. But you're going to want 3 pages.
Sorry, Jamie.
That's all right.
Christy reckons that they're all innocent and we wouldn't read such books.
No, is that what she says? See, it's you that's lowered the tone already.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right. It's fine. We don't mind it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp onto our pages. Now I'm going to use our new brushed gold metallic inks, and I'm using the Latin script stamp. And I'm just going to ink this up. I'm never worried if this is perfect, because to be honest, I want you to know it's a book. I want you to see some text in there. But to be honest with you, it could be a vintage book. It could be a sort of warm book. So if they're not perfect, it's not the end of the world. Now, so I don't have to keep moving my stamp, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my pages. So we're going to do one, and then we're going to load in the next one. And this, oh, that don't look too good. Let's get another one. I think now I'm dropping on my bits. Come back. Here we go. So we'll bring in another page instead, because I didn't like the mark on the end of that one. We'll get rid of that one for the second, come back to that shortly. So you're going to do 3 of these for your booklet if you want it to be the same as mine. You could certainly add in more pages if you wish to, or you could add in less pages. You could just have 1 if you want. It doesn't have to be a bold book, or again, you could have more if you wish. So we'll take that page out and we'll add in the next one so that we can stamp that. Oh, that one's got a bit of a dodgy edge as well. We'll take that away, it's fine. I don't know what I've done there. It's fine. We'll hide this page in the back of the book. Nobody will see it. And we'll ink this stamp up again. Now, of course, I'm working with a stamp press, so if I do worry that my pages aren't exact, I can go back and redo them, but I'm really not too bothered. The inks, if you haven't seen me chat about these before already, these ones are quick dry pigment inks, which means you can heat emboss them if you so wish to, but if you don't want to, then they will dry on their own. You can put them out onto a tile and you can paint with them, which is really cool because you get some really cool effects with them. You can brush them over light cardstock, dark cardstock, or any other colour cardstock you'd like to. They're better on a porous surface, obviously, because they are a pigment. Unless you're going to heat emboss them, then you might find that they set, but it'll depend on your surface. And what did surprise me with these, which we didn't chat about last week when we was looking at them, but if you see the highlight craft shows, then you might know this, you can colour them with alcohol markers and it doesn't seem to react, which is really, really cool. And we'll be doing that shortly, just so you can see it in action. But it wasn't something I planned or knew that these could do. But when I got them here and started playing with them, I was quite impressed to find that that worked quite nicely. Now, I like to show you me doing this stamping because I like you to see that my sort of trick here was not moving the stamp 4 times or 5 times, however many times to do this. Instead, I can just bring in my pages and yo-yo through the pages, and then I know which area of the stamps to ink to make that area stamped and sort of effective. But you're going to want to do this to each of your pages. I do love a DL stamp because obviously it's covering the whole area, and of course you'll see that metallic shimmer come through from our ink. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about this stamp before, our Latin script stamp is wrote in Latin, but it's Latin gibberish. So it means that we can use this for any occasion. I'm going to show you some of the books I've done shortly. You'll see why that's a bonus, because we might want to use these books for Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day. You know, you want something that's going to cover you for all occasions and all times. So I'm going to pick my favourite looking page. Now, I had one that got a bit of a dodgy edge, so we're going to go for this one. And we're going to load that onto our stamp press. And we're going to go for the top of the black mat. And we're going to bring in the rows to place on there. And we're going to find some black ink. And this time I will go for my quick dry pigment inks. So these ones. And we're going to use Black Panther. Jamie, would you be bringing out your own equipment, e.g. stamping platforms, scoreboards, etc., of your own or your own die cut machine? Love questions like that, Dawn. Thank you very much, because it gives us a chance to tell you the truth, because I always think the truth is the most important bit that we can share with you. I would love to do everything under the sun, and I mean that genuinely. Stamp platforms, die cutting machines, you name it, I want to do it. But being honest, we have to purchase an awful lot to be able to do them kind of things. So you need to be quite a large company. We're only a baby company. And I mention this not for sympathy or for anything else, and not to try and convince you to buy from us, believe it or not, because there's more to supporting a company than parting with your pennies. And you've probably all seen the Facebook posts that kind of tell you this as well. You know, just liking a post or sharing a video or commenting on a live is a great way to support any company, not just this company, but any company that you like. And the bigger we get, then absolutely we would like to be able to bring out more and more products along them lines. But it's like this press. This is a brilliant one. This one's done by Lisa Horton. We all love Lisa Horton. The way she makes her products is incredible. And that's why I'm more than happy to show it and use it and sort of play with it, because it's brilliant. But, and I don't know, and I might be wrong here, but from my understanding, Lisa will have paid for projection molds to be made, test samples to be made, and then would have had to have bought these in very large numbers to be able to make the production costs of a product like this happen. And when you go to machines and bits like that, then your numbers go even higher. And then, of course, if you're looking at electronic machines, then there's a lot more rules and regulations about bringing those into the country. And I was once told, and I don't know how true this is, but you have to have special licenses because you're playing with electricity. Not literally, but you're playing, you know, you're putting something out there that is potentially got the ability to be a problem. So you have to be covered for that and work with those sort of laws and ways as well. So absolutely, if we can get big enough, we will do everything. But we've got to get there first of all. And we often have this same kind of conversation about embossing folders, because we would love to do embossing folders. But again, it seems to be whenever you start talking about plastics, you have to have the moulds made for the folders to go into, because you have to have a mould per folder, obviously, to make it. And then the costs of having just the moulds made are really high. And then you have to, of course, buy a lot more to be able to support that. So again, I'm probably telling you much more than anyone normally would, but it's all about limitations and what we can do. And especially with, and again, not moaning, but with the current changes to the sort of craft world, we have to make sure that we can literally supply enough of those products around the world to make that possible. But everything is on the table. There is never an item off the table. And we constantly look at new companies to work with, and if we can get lower quantities or lower costs, then we will do that. So yeah, I'll tell you if I know it's coming, but at the moment, not quite yet. I and you might forget this because I do all the time, but we're only, how many months old are we? 5 months?
5 months, something like
5 months, I think it is, isn't it? It's not long. We're not old in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, we have a lot of pressure on us to sort of be able to order the numbers that are needed for a lot of items. And again, we have to be careful now that obviously the market has changed a little bit. and we've got to find our feet in a new home and work with different sort of parameters. But we're enjoying it, and we're doing all right. So no drama, just honesty that we will constantly reevaluate things and order what we can bring you, because I'd love to be able to bring you a machine or a guillotine or something along them lines in time, because I look at a lot of products, and I might be wrong, but I think there are ways to improve a lot of what we use in a daily basis, and it'd be nice to be able to put our spin on things. So yeah, absolutely, it's something we would like to do if we can do. So I'm just going ahead. So I've coloured this and I've stamped it first of all, haven't I? It's the bit I haven't told you in my waffle. I've stamped this with our Borders and Corners stamp, which is our lovely, what's this one called? I think it is just called Borders and Corners, isn't it, Pete?
I believe so.
From the Floral Wonder
Yep.
collection. And now I'm going ahead, and again, you know I'm not a colourist. You could do lots of blending and lots of techniques, but we're just going to colour in our large rose, which again is one of our other stamps from this collection. And we've already gone round and added some colour onto the smaller ones. I'm just going to bring in a sheet to put under that, just so I don't go off the edge again. Any other questions while I'm doing a bit of colouring, Pete? I always like that, because if you don't always get honesty from companies, do you? Or not necessarily not honesty. They don't always have the opportunity to be able to tell you what's going on and how it works and why. And I mean this, everyone from Tesco's to Marks and Spencer's, to, not that I'm comparing us to them, but you know what I mean. In general, you don't often get to talk to a company and find out the inner workings, do you? And I, for one, have always found the inner workings behind companies quite fascinating, because I feel that there's a lot to learn. And if you know that sharing a post or commenting on a post can make the difference to a company, which we don't always know, because we don't always know everything about our social networks and all that work, then I think that's kind of beneficial if you know that just by liking or commenting or sharing, you've helped that company. I think that's quite important. Any more books?
No, I think we've gone a little bit quiet on the book front.
If you've just joined us, don't forget, if you let us know your favourite book, then you might be in for a chance to win, or you will be in for a chance to win whatever we make tonight, because it'd be nice to give away our projects and give you the chance to win them. So let us know your favourite book in the comment, and by the time we end this evening, Pete would have picked one lucky winner to receive whatever we've made, which is why I want to finish this off with you, so you can see it's all nice and complete and all done. So we'll add some colour into these bits. Actually, Peter, oh, here we go. Here's a test for you. Colour in the rest of them flowers while I'm doing the next bit.
Blimey.
Go on.
I feel privileged.
Oh, I don't know about that. Now it's a team.
I apologise to whoever receives
any dodgy
this.
colouring. If I went over the lines, it obviously wasn't me. It was Peter. Not at all, it would have been me. Colour like the blind. I do. I'm terrible. Okay, so let's.
He says as I take off my glasses.
I say that as Pete takes off his glasses. Maybe that's not the best choice. Okay, so back to our pages. So we're going to start off with our cover pieces, and we're going to bring in our gold ink pad again. And this is just to give these an aged look. So you can pat with them or you can swipe with them. I don't mind swiping, but if you're using one like the fluted edge, you might find that you sort of pick at the mat of your ink. So actually a little bit of padding going down the edges is a better idea for your actual ink pad. You're less likely to pluck it or damage it. And we're going to do this round both of our covers, and then we will place these two together in a moment. But we're just going to pad round that with some more gold. Now I like this because it gives me that idea of like an old antique book that I've sort of found and enjoyed reading or created. We're also going to do the same with the pages. So if you've stamped off the edge, this is quite a nice way to tie that in, and again give that gilt look that we've created on each of the pages. So we'll carry on going down this one all the way around. Okay, there we go. So we've done our 2 pages, and we're going to bring in our cover. Now this is where we need a scoreboard, so let me find my scoreboard. So whatever size page you've gone for, Now, if I remember rightly, I told you ours was 20 centimetres. So we're going to bring this in and we're going to score this in half at 10 centimetres. And we're going to do the same to both of our covers. And I do find this, you might wonder, is it better to do this before or after? I personally find this better to be done before, and I'll show you why in a second. And then they're 18, so we're going to score these ones at 9. So down through both of the middles of those. And then when Pete's done his colouring, we'll do the same to the other one as well.
Feel under pressure?
Oh, there's no rush. Honestly, we've got to build a stand and we've got bits to do. So we're going to bring in our glue now. And now we've got our scores in place. We're going to glue both of the front covers together. Now, I suppose one would technically be a front cover and one would be an internal cover. But either or, we're going to put the two together. Now, because we've used the same die set, everything should match up perfectly for us. So we're going to bring them together, give them a little squidge, and make sure that they're in place. Now, I tend to be relatively impatient, so I will start very quickly moving my pages and trying to get that fold in place. If you find, like here, oh, where are we? There we are. If you find here that you've got a little bit of a point of difference between the two, this is good because it gives you that time to squidge it, move it, and get it back in place. Now, if you struggle with this, you don't have to have two covers. You can just go for one. It's not the end of the world, but it's more if you want to decorate this side of your booklet, and if you want it to have a bit more strength and prominence, then it's kind of handy to have the two together, because suddenly we're up to 600 GSM and you've got a really strong booklet cover. And I like mine to sit with a bit of a V to them. So I don't need it to fold completely in half because I'm not aiming for the book to fold completely in half. I just need it to sit with a bit of a angle because that's how I like my books to be. But you don't have to, you can leave it completely flat if you prefer, but I find having that crease in the middle helps. Now Pete has done an amazing job of doing his colouring, thanks Pete. So we'll just add our gold going around this booklet page, and then we'll score this one so that it matches in. Now what I do really like, although you haven't interfered with or smudged the gold ink underneath your alcohol markers, if I give this a little lift, can you see how that still shines through? You've still got that gold text coming through from underneath them, and I think that's really lovely because it again carries on that vintage theme and gives you a point of difference to what you might expect, and again a slight difference to what you might expect from an ink pad, because you'd kind of imagine, especially with these ones, that it would bleed and that you would end up with it being a bit messy, and it really doesn't, which is lovely. So we're going to fold this down with a bone folder because this is our middle page and we want that to have the most sort of raisedness to it, if that makes sense. And we're going to take our other two and we're going to do the same. And then we're going to do the same with this one. Now this is the one where I've got that slightly dodgy edge to it. So we're going to go for this one to begin with. Now once you've got your pages done, I'm just going to use a bone folder again, and I'm going to work on the reverse of this to round the page. Now there are other ways you could do that. It's just a quick way to give that little curve to each of the pages. So we'll do this to all three of them the same, rounding out to make our little booklet. Did we have any stockists mention that they were with us, Peter? I know our darling Craft Mania has, of course.
No, I say Craft Mania are watching. No,
that's Mum downstairs
Is
joining
it?
in with us, yeah.
Evening, Mother. She's keeping a beady eye on you.
A beady eye, somebody's got to keep us in check, Pete. Make sure that we don't do anything too wrong. Although you have already sort of encouraged 50 Shades of Grey chat, which, you know,
none are confessing to it though.
Well, I'm kind of glad they haven't, you know, probably for the best.
I regret bringing it up.
So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my foam tape, and I'm using our 2mm foam tape. I nearly said 3. Our 2mm foam tape, and I'm going to make a double stack of this. Now again, you certainly don't have to if you don't want your pages to have too much height, but I like the pages to have quite a bit of prominence to them. So we're going to go round that and we're going to cut that off, and we might come back for some more shortly, but in the meantime that will be sufficient for our first few pages. So now we know where our crease in the middle of the booklet is, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some glue into here. Now we don't want it to come out the bottom or out the top of the pages, so we're going to go for that middle point. I'm going to load that with quite a bit of glue so I can bring in my first page and place that down in the centre. Now, once I know where my pages are, I'm going to go and I'm going to cut just a couple of pieces of this. Now, it doesn't matter too much if these are perfectly level or not, because we're not actually going to see them. They're going to be hidden under the page. So we're going to lift that page up. We're going to bring it down slightly more towards the front, and we're going to spread this page out. So it's got kind of an equal amount running around the three sides. It doesn't have to be, or four sides, but it doesn't have to be too prominent or too flat, because we're going to get more height in the next pages that are coming up. We're then going to put another piece of foam under this side, so there's a bit of a raise to that side, and we're going to give that a bit of a squish to check that we're in the right place. We're then going to come in with a couple more bits of tape, and we're going to add more glue down to the spine of our booklet. Now, of course, I'm using our clear drying glue for this, so not that I'm worried because we're not going to see it from the centre, but it's always good to know if we do have any excess anywhere that it's not going to be a problem, because it's not going to be seen. Now, I don't know if any of you watched the highlight craft shows. I'm sure lots of you did, but I was talking about this glue because I only have just found out if I use this to paint over an item, when it dries, it doesn't go tacky, which I'd expect it to, but it does dry with like a really nice matte finish. So if you're somebody who's used to using glossy glazes, like the range of glossy glazes, bits like that, similar effect, but not as glossy, which I actually quite like, more like a matte version of that. But again, doesn't have that stick to it. So if you've got the glue, you might want to have a little play around with that and see how you get on. So with our next set of pages, I'm bringing the foam tape in slightly, and I'm going to bring the page over, and I'm going to make sure I can still see that stitch mark. So that will then give us a bit more raise to our page. We'll still grab onto that foam tape on both sides, but we've got that lift, we've got that dimension, and we've created that effect, which is what we wanted. We're then going to bring more glue into the centre to add into that middle page, on that final page. Now, of course, at this stage, we need to make sure that there's nothing more we want to stamp onto this, because we're going to glue it in place and it's going to be there now. So make sure that you're happy with what you've created. And you could do a bit of colouring on the top of it, but it's probably best that you've done that by now, so that you don't have to worry about trying to colour over the top of what you've created, or on an arc as such. Then we're going to add some more foam tape on the inside, and we're going to bring over that first page, and we're going to match in where we are with our stitches. So again, we've got that point of reference. Oh, and that's a good tip. Make sure that your pages are aligned top and bottom before we go and adhere that down. Then we're going to do the same the other side. A bit of movement at the moment because I'm working quite quickly. I'm not overly letting that glue grab, but that will grab, that will set. This is one of the bits I love about our glue, is it does give you that moment of sort of play. So if you are out of place, it's not the end of the world. You've got that minute to move it back to where you need it to be. So that creates our first set of pages and our raised book effect. Now, how easy was that? How effective was that? Wasn't complicated, was it? 3 pages cut from the deckled edge and stitched set of dies, and 2 cover pages cut with the pierced set from the scallop set and the fluted edges. So very simple to create. To finish this off, we're going to bring in a couple of finishing touches. I've gone ahead and I've stamped a with love, which I believe by memory comes with the rose. So I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to place that roughly about there. And I've added that together with our 1mm foam tape. Again, that comes on a big 50-metre roll, but I didn't want it to be too prominent. And I also know that it needs to curve a bit with the page to make sure it stays in place. I've then got our elegant butterfly die set, and I'm going to bring one of these in, and let's possibly go for just underneath it. And then we're going to bring in another one. We're going to 3D this up and build that on there. So we'll add some more glue onto the back of this one, and we're going to place this one down onto the inside. Now I'll finish this off later with some pearls in the middle of that butterfly, because it could just do with a little line of pearls. So I'll finish that off afterwards. But that will create the major part of our book. We'll come back shortly, we'll let this dry and set, and we'll make the stand, and then we'll tie a ribbon around the middle of it. Now, of course, when we talk about these, you can, as I mentioned earlier, be decorating the outside of them too. So don't shy away from doing that, and that might be easier to do before you build too much of it, if that's something you'd like to do. But to me, as I leave them more as the location where you might write your message on them. So I haven't worried too much about adding stuff to there, but you can if you want to. Now, have we got any questions so far? No? Good. Okay, so let's move on then and make our stand. Now, I know that you're going to want measurements for this because up till now, we've been using the dies, and I think that's a little bit easier to see. The stand measurements, I will tell you them as we do them, but I'll also put them up as a blog post. And when we go on to talking about the other 3 sizes of book and the boxes, I'm going to yell lots, well, not yell, but I'm going to give you lots of different measurements. And I'm conscious that that doesn't always sink in, does it? It doesn't with me anyway. And I like to see them wrote down. So in the next day or so, we'll put up a blog post on the Jamie Rodgers Crafts website. So if you haven't already become a member, make sure you sign up to the website. Again, you can't shop on there, but it does have a Stockists list if you fall in love with anything and I'd like to know more details. But on there is a blog. Wendy's already put up some blog posts, so has our lovely Sharon. This will be my first one, but I'll give you some pictures and measurements of the boxes and the stands for the different sizes of booklets. It won't be a huge post, but it'll just give you the bits you need to know. So if you don't take this in right now, don't panic. I know what it's like. I can never digest and watch and do. So we'll come back to it later. But for this size book, we're going to start off with just an ordinary piece of A4 card. Now I'm using our Raven Black card, and I'm going to start off here, and I'm going to start at 2 centimetres, and I'm going to score right the way from one end to the other. Now this is going to make the depth of what our book is going to stand on. This is the point you're deciding that fact. Now I've found with my books, which have got quite a lot of height or depth to them, 2 centimetres is perfect. You could increase this, you could shrink it, the choice is yours. From there, we're going to score at 2.5 centimetres. That's going to be the little stepper, which gives us that little bit of prominence to make sure that our book doesn't fall forward. And you'll see that come into action shortly. We're then going to match this measurement. So whatever you've made this measurement, this side of this line, we're going to match that this side of the line. So we did 2 centimetres for this side. So we scored at 2, we've scored at 2.5. So we need to add the 2 onto the 2.5, which is going to mean we score at 4.5. So both sides, 2 centimetres with a 5mm train track running through the middle, if that makes sense. And we can fold this up at this stage so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to fold up first of all to that first line, preferably about your board underneath. And we're going to burnish that down. And I would recommend you fold to the first line, because if you fold to the second line, trying to fold the first line is a bit more tricky. Then we'll go to the second line. So we've made that 5mm little train track relevant. Now, we can then move up and we can score the 4.5 centimetre one. Now, you don't have to do this in this format if you don't want to, but I found this easier and I want to show you why I've done that. Because whatever size book I create, I stick with this same step at the front because all my books are quite thick, but again, you can change that. From this point, we then need to work out how big this panel is and divide it in half. Now, if I've done this right, it should be, by memory, 12.5 centimetres, if I'm right. So we're about 25 centimetres, that's perfect. So the halfway point is going to be 12.5. But whatever you're left with after your scores is what you're going to divide down. And again, this will vary depending on what size stand you're going to make for what size book you're going to make. But we basically want to fold what's left in half. So 12.5 is where we're going to go for our next score. And we're going to go down that point to make that nice and firm and ready. And we're going to fold this over and we're going to burnish that bit down. Now what we've created here is our stand. That is all ready to be built and decorated. They're equal stages, so we're fine there. Now for our shelf that our book is going to stand on, we added in this 5mm depth, didn't we? So we're going to bring in our 3mm foam tape, 2mm foam tape, sorry, one day that I was thinking. And we're going to add a line of the 2mm foam tape from one end to the other. Now if, like me, you're doing a black stand, you might wish to colour in the edges of your foam tape at either end with a black Sharpie so you don't see that line come through. But it's not vital, that's just an option. We're then going to take the top of the foam tape off, and we're going to bring this over and fold that down. Now, if you remember, we created a 5mm train track here, didn't we? That 5mm step. And we've only put 2mm of foam tape between it. And that's intentional because it means that the shelf will sit at an angle so your book won't fall forward. You can build that up further if you want to. There's no reason why you couldn't add 2 layers of foam tape. You could even top it off with 1mm foam tape that we've got in our 50-metre rolls. So it's exactly the same 5mm height. But personally, I found one line of 2mm perfect for doing what we need it to do. Now, a bit like when you make a tent card, currently, nothing is going to stop that from collapsing down. We haven't added any mechanisms or anything on the inside there to prevent that from just falling down, especially when we bring weight onto the front half of this. We've added weight to one side. There's no reason that back side of this isn't going to collapse down. So we're going to bring in a little stand, a little mechanism to prevent that happening. And this again can be pretty much any measurement you want it to be. So I've got a piece of card here that we're going to go ahead and we're going to score at 1 centimetre. And that's because that's going to help me with my double-sided tape. It's a perfect width to add that onto. We're then going to go for, let's say, 3 centimetres. So we've made another 2 centimetres that side of the 1. We're then going to match our 2 centimetres coming out this side because we need these two sides to be equal. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and come down. Is that right? Right there. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I did 4 centimetres. I didn't do 1. No, I did 3. 3. I'll get there in a minute. Apologies. So we did 3 centimetres that side. So we're going to match our 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to come down. Now, you don't have to do this one because if it's not needed as a score line, but it tells me there where I can cut away because I've matched that same centimetre. So I've got a centimetre, and 3 centimetres either side of the middle line. Hopefully that makes some sense. And we don't need this to be this large, so we're going to cut it down to make it smaller. And I'm doing this deliberately so you can see this really can be whatever size you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a particular size at all. Now I should have brought up my 6mm tape, but I didn't, I forgot. So we're going to go for a 12mm tape, which once I'd started scoring, I did remember, because had I have remembered earlier, I would have made my score lines at 15mm and not 1 or 10. But it's not the end of the world. We'll trim off the excess. We could, of course, fold it over instead if you prefer, but we just want double-sided tape to be on them 2 ends. We're then going to fold this in half, and we're going to fold up the pieces with tape on, so that we then end up with like a little V with 2 pieces pointing out from the top of it. And that's what we need it to be. So it opens and closes at equal measurement with the tape on the top. And then we're going to take the tape off of one side so that we've got a sticky bit. And we're going to go to the inside of our stand. And we're going to just pick a place at random. As long as it's level, it doesn't matter where it is. So we're going to go for about there. And we're going to peel the top of the tape off. And we're going to bring down the other side. And then what you've created is a little mechanism in the inside that's going to prevent that from falling back on itself. Because now it can't part, we've got that little V in place. So that's the furthest that can go. It's not going to disappear on you. It's not going to collapse. And then when we bring our booklet in, we've got strength to our structure. So it will stay in place. We're then going to bring in that ribbon we mentioned and tie some of that around the middle of this booklet. Don't forget, if you've got any questions as I run through this, just let me know. But hopefully you're taking all of this on board. There will be a little quiz at the end. There won't be, don't panic.
Did we mention the glitter girls?
We haven't mentioned the glitter
No,
girls.
'cause a couple of them,
Apologies.
Jean
I should have said
remembered,
that. I said this the other day and I forgot to mention
similar.
it. When I was talking to Pete, tell you the truth, Pete come home and I'd made one of these. And he's so sweet. He come home and he said, they're amazing. Look at those. They're absolutely beautiful. And I said to him straight away, I can't take credit for this. And I gave him the whole sort of history of the Glitter Girls and the Glitter Girl boards and the amazing creations that they made with them. And I should have said that at the beginning because I hate it to ever look like I'm trying to claim I've invented an idea because I really haven't. This isn't my idea at all. But it is a cool idea and it's a great way to use your nesting dies So it's kind of just trying to show you how. And I know back then, because we that was when we opened our first shop, was when they was really big actually. I know back then obviously we had a board and we scored it and then cut it and made it, and you know, dyes have come along leaps and bounds since then. I feel like I might even be right in saying this, I might be wrong, but at the time they were sort of big, we was on the big deep dish Sizex dyes and hadn't even gone to like the low profile thin metal dyes like we bring you today. So I don't think dyes to make the boards were as much of an option, if at all, back then. But now having the dyes, and I know these aren't shaped to make your pages, and I believe you can get dyes that are shaped to make your pages, but to be honest with you, I like the idea of giving you versatility, because then you can use these for your books, but you can also use them to make your boxes. You can also use them to make your card blanks. You can do so much more with them. So all I'm doing here is I'm just tying a little ribbon around the back, and I've tied a little bow in it. Again, this is optional, but I found it quite nice to have something run down the middle of those pages, and I would play about a little bit with this to make sure that's level and equal, and post that down there, and then we'll give these a little cut off, just so they're not too big, but they're there and in place. I'm going to take that one down slightly. I don't want them to protrude out the top or the bottom of the book. That one's a bit off. Recut that one, that's better. So again, you can decorate the back of the book if you want to, but that will give you the front of it. Then you've got your stand. Now again, honestly, I think I'm getting very forgetful today. I forgot to bring up my large pearls. Oh, these will do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in just a couple of little pearls, or big pearls more to the point, and we're going to add these onto the base of the book stand. So we're going to put one side, and we're going to put one the other end, and this again will just help hold this part of the stand up in the air, so that when your book is on it, you don't have to worry about your book falling forward. So that completes how to make your books and your book stands in this set of sizes. Now, as I mentioned, I will put the measurements up in a blog so that you've got them and that you can see them. And next up, we'll run through a couple of the other sizes I've done, just to give you a bit of an idea with those, because I think it's nice to see different sizes. But if you have any questions, then let me know and we'll go through them. But in my 3 plain boxes, yeah, no, I said it right, boxes, we have 3 different size books. So this is the joy of having the dies and giving you the ability to make them to whatever size you want to. So again, little stand with that one, little box. I'll give you the measurements of these on the blog. If you want to know, I don't know, you probably don't want to try and write them all down now. So I'm going to give them to you on the blog. I think that'll be easier than trying to confuse you with 7 million measurements, because obviously every lid, box and stand is different, and I think that might be easier. But you've got, in my mind, the small booklet, the medium booklet, which again, and this one's cool because it brings in the tiles as well. So we've got the stamps from the tiles, we've got the Latin script in the background, we've got the butterflies, you've got a grey stand for this one, so our pebble grey, and then another box. And you might want to change around the boxes. If you make your books more prominent or less prominent, you might want to raise up or shrink the size of the boxes. But it just gives you some ideas on what you could be creating, and also shows you how you might want to match the colours of your books to your stands, or you might choose to go for different colours between them. I actually think they look better if you go for different colours, because then the book stands out more as a book and the stand stands out more as a stand. But I will, as I say, put the measurements up for those to give you some ideas for these. And then there's another one I wanted to share with you. Here's my lovely Rodney. Love Rodney. So Rodney's our stamp, for anyone who doesn't know who Rodney is. This is our lovely stamp. And I've added our little classic poinsettia on here and our Happy Christmas. And again, night sky navy for the stand and our seashell blue for the booklet. And then this was the first version of the one that we just made. So slightly different colour pens, slightly different butterflies, but this is the one we're going to give away. So if you haven't already told us in the comments what your favourite book is, do so, and Pete will pick one lucky winner to win this at the end of the show. So I'm going to pass that off to Pete so I don't end up covering it in ink or doing anything silly with it. So do we have any questions regarding the books, the boxes, or any other info that you would like to know about those? Because if you do, I will do my best to answer it for you now. If not, as I say, we'll put up a blog post probably tomorrow, if not over the weekend, giving you the measurements of the books, the boxes and the stands, because I think bombarding you with 3 different lots of 4 different things is going to be a bit confusing right now. But let me know. Tell me in the comments. We'll do whatever you wish. We can do anything. So, I'm just going to pop over here because I want to show you a couple of other things as well. So these are cards. What ones can I show you? This is a card that we put up a little video. But
you don't want to reveal too many.
I can't show you too much. If you haven't seen the video, well, I'm waiting to see if you've got any questions. This card, we uploaded a video for the day before yesterday, maybe. Or maybe it was yesterday, I don't know. The days are a blur. But we put up a video showing you how to make this card. If you haven't already seen it, please do go have a watch of it. Let us know what you think of it. Give it a share. Give it a comment if you'd like to. And tell us what you're thinking. Because it's a new format video we've done, inspired by our lovely Sharon on our design team, where I actually made this on my desk, filmed it, and then edited it and put a voiceover telling you how I'd done it so that you could follow along. If you enjoy this style of video, I can give you more of these because as I make things, I'll be able to film them, edit them and give them to you. So if you enjoy it, let us know. If you don't, then that's fine and we'll do a different concept and we'll question you about that later down the line because it's all about trying to work with you to bring you the best inspiration, content, back up to what you're purchasing as we can do. So as always, let us know what you're thinking. Now, sneaky peeks, because we haven't shared these anywhere, I am going to share a couple of them with you. This is taking the same ideas from that card, but taking them onto a different project. Now, I will share these in picture form over the next couple of days, I'm sure, but I just wanted to share with you a couple of different versions. And I'm going to share this one with you as well, because if you're looking at that one, or these ones, thinking I need that poinsettia, it's not only our classic poinsettia that has that deboss effect and work on it. Have a look at our cosmos flower. This works brilliantly. And I'm not going to show that one to you because if not, that would really ruin it. But there is another video that I've already filmed showing you the cosmos flower being used in the same way. So keep an eye out for that one. And again, comment, share, like, support if you can do. Always nice to have your sort of input on that one. Now, I'm conscious that we've already gone over my hour, which we do every week, and I always say I'm going to be here for an hour, and I'm always here much longer than I should be. But I don't want to only give away one thing, so it would be nice to make one more. So let's do another little quick demo with you while we've got you, if you're all up for it, and I'm not boring you to tears. So let us know in the comments. Pete, don't forget to tell us if we have any more books. I love knowing what people read, what they're up to.
Yeah, like Alison said, which I think you'd like, one of her favourites was Sharon Osbourne's first book.
Oh!
So I think you'd like...
I have a feeling somebody bought that for me. I do, because I've always liked Sharon. I always find Sharon relatively fascinating. I don't know if that's the right word, but I do. I don't know, there's something about her. I don't know. And I think she's had a very interesting life, and I should imagine her story is fascinating. And she's certainly seen a lot of life, hasn't she? She's certainly done a lot and been a lot of places. But I don't think I ever went through it. I will confess at this stage, because I like to confess these things, I did recently listen to the Britney Spears autobiography. And as I said, I don't read books. My problem is, and I think it's a problem, that if I read a book, and Pete will tell you, Pete once bought me, and I'm going back about 10 years, he bought me the autobiography of the guy who opened Pleasurewood Hills theme park. Because I love theme parks and I love knowing how they work and how they operate and all of the sort of geeky bit behind the scenes about theme parks, not just the rides, not just, it's the theme and it's that way that they transport you to a different world. And I suppose in a sense that's kind of a craft in its own way. So it's from a crafter's perspective, I love the design, I love the atmosphere, I love the way that they take you to somewhere else, although and you kind of forget your world and are transported. So I love theme parks. But every night I'd try and read this book in bed. And I ended up that I was just reading the same pages time after time because by the next day I totally forgot what had happened. And I can remember in this, there was a lot of meetings that this guy, I can't remember his name now, but was going to. And it'd be every night I sat next to John and Paul and Terry and tell you who all these people are. And then the next day I'd forgot who any of them were. So I gave up in the end. So when Britney's come out, I wanted to know about Britney because I'm just nosy. So I did listen to that one and I took that all in. And if you like an autobiography, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest Britney fan at all or wasn't the biggest Britney fan, but it was more being nosy about her life and what had gone on in her world. And it was really fascinating, quite sad or very sad, but very interesting. So yeah, that's my ad for the day while you're all chatting books. That was quite a good one. But the next one I'd like to listen to is Matthew Perry's. We've been watching or re-watching Friends for about the 87th time in our household recently. And yeah, I'd really like to know more about Matthew Perry. I'd like to know more about what was going on. Again, being nosy. So that's the next thing that I'd like to listen to when I get a chance. So we're going on to our card while I'm waffling. What I've done so far is I've bought in one of our foiled inkables, which I think I've got the name right. I never get the name right, but I think I've got the name right. And I'm going to bring in our butterfly corner. Now our butterfly corner is coming to you in the elegant oval butterfly set, elegant butterfly oval. And you get 4 of these, and you can do all of these at once, but just for speed, we're going to do one. We're going to bring that corner in, and we're going to low tack tape that down into the edge of this frame. I love these frames. There are just so many things we can do with these. I absolutely just constantly think of different things I want to do with them and ways in which we can use them. And I'm kind of always inspired with that foiling to create different effects. So we're going to send this through and we're going to cut this in. Now I've not used the outside edge, I'm only using the filigree panel. So as this goes through, it is going to cut that into the card and it's going to stay there for us. And this will give us a aperture effect, I suppose, put onto the panel. Now, I would do this in all 4 corners so that I've now created the perfect frame all the way around. Now here I go with my low tack tape. This is what happens when I use a new bit. I should have taken more off of that, but it's fine. You'll get the idea. So we've cut that in, and that last little bit that's hanging on there, we'll get rid of those. And we've cut that into the corner and created our very cool delicate corner. And we would do this, or I would do this, in all 4 corners, and we would end up with this effect here, which is very cool, isn't it? Now, if you've not seen these before, these are great because what I did with these is I left you a larger edge around them. So perhaps you want to score this and turn this into a box, you can do. You could easily take it and say, well, actually, we're going to mark off these sides here, let's say 2 centimetres on all 4 sides. And then you could plant what I class as plant potting, but turn it into corners and turn that into a box. And we're not going to do this because this isn't actually where we're heading with these. But you could take that, turn it into a box, and suddenly you've got a really cool fretwork topped box that would make a really lovely like peekaboo effect into your card underneath. Or you could make this into a proper like stand. You could put one of those little battery tea lights behind it. There's loads you could do with them. But actually cutting into them with these dies just really gives you another use. Now don't forget, I didn't use the outside edge to those. If you wanted to, you could cut the outside edge and you could put a colour underneath just those, or of course you could put a square of colour underneath if you wish to. So lots of different ideas you could do with those, just give you an idea. Pete just pulled a funny face. What's the funny face at, Peter?
I'm just picking out the bits that you would like, I suppose. No, Amanda, she says she's currently listening to Miranda Hart's booklet at the moment, and you'd love that too.
Oh, I would love that. I didn't even know she'd done one. No, I love Miranda Hart. I wish, and I can't remember the name of the show. I'm showing my memory now. But I wish they'd bring back the show. I loved that show. I don't watch
Wasn't
a lot
it just Miranda? Was it called?
Was Miranda? It called Miranda? Oh, I don't know. But I loved that show. I really did. I don't watch much English TV, and when I do, I tend to go to the older shows like
Keeping Up Appearances.
Keeping Up Appearances. Bits like that. Is that style of comedy I like that she again sort of brought to us. So yeah, I'd probably really like that. Well, I'm sure it isn't all about comedy. It's probably a lot more about her world. But I do love a nose. I do love to know what's going on in the world and what people get up to. I am genuinely a nosy neighbour. So what I've done here is I've taken one of our blending mats. This is our new large blending mats. We've got large and small ones. And I've taken 3 colours of the metallic inks and I've just placed a small amount of these out onto the mat. So again, I've used Brush Gold, Sea Breeze Blue and Royal Purple. And we're going to mist this with quite a bit of water because we don't want it to be too intense. And we're going to bring in that panel that we've been working with. Now, because we're working on one of our foiled inkables, whenever we apply ink or colour to the top of this, we're going to find that that foiling resists it and still stays in place, but it's going to give us a really cool background and colours the white to create a really cool look. How gorgeous is that? And that's just 3 colours. So when this dries, you're going to get the metallic shimmer come through, but you're going to maintain your foiled effect as well. So of course I've got one of these done already. We'll leave that to one side. I might show you that again if it dries up. This bit, don't worry about wiping it away. Mist with more water, bring in a paintbrush, pick it up and splatter it. So literally pick it up, tap it down, create like confetti effects. Pick up more pieces with it, with bits of card if you want to. You can always die cut those and use those for many different reasons. So don't feel you've got to wipe that away. But already, it isn't dry, but look at that. How cool, how marbly does that effect look? And we've not done anything more to that. That's just drying and setting. I love this effect with these. I feel it really does open up a whole opportunity or opportunity for different looks. So we're going to bring in our card blank and we're going to start measuring this so I can give you some idea of size. We are 7 1/4 inches for this part, and then we're going to work down in our sizings. So we're going to bring in a piece of black card. So this again is our Elite Black card, and this will be 1/4 inch smaller, so 7 inches. If I'm right in remembering, I told you the card blank was 7 1/4, which I think it was. And then we're going to bring in a piece of gold mirri. This is our gold mirri on a 1mm foam tape, and we're going to place that over the top. Just so we've got a little shimmer coming out from around the sides. You're chuckling over there.
Chrissy reckons that Jean's the new Mrs. Bouquet. She's agreed. She's agreed.
Has she?
Yeah.
I always knew I liked my Jean.
I loved Hyacinth.
I love
with a periwinkle.
We do genuinely still watch
Love
a lot
it.
of that, don't we? We're going little fits and fads, but we do
get
love
on the carry-ons in a minute.
I haven't told. Oh, and I love a carry-on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that type of humour.
Yeah.
That really
Much
is
simpler.
to me. Well, I don't know if it was simpler or
life,
pushed
maybe,
more boundaries. I don't know.
Mm.
So here's one of those panels dried, cut down, cut in. So we've got that effect going through them. But you can see the metallic, you can see the resist of the foiled elements. The foiling, by the way, we do these in gold and silver in the circle. And then we do what we class as a square as well, which has got a square frame and then a square sort of corner cut effect in the centre. I find the corners fit really nicely with the circles, being honest. They also, if you don't want to die cut into them, the corners which come with the flowers that we was looking at and the corners that come with Rodney, for instance, and the Christmas designs, they pretty much all stamp into these corners and look really lovely too. So it doesn't have to just be these. There's lots of options. If you don't want to die cut into it, you could stamp on it instead if you wish to. And then we're going to bring in our tile stamps, if I can find where I've put them. So let's bring in one of those. We'll go for that frame one, I think. I'll pick this one off and we'll find a piece of white card, which I should have. Oh, there's a pile here somewhere. Here we go. Piece of white card, and we're going to stamp this onto there. If I can remember where I've hid my stamp press. So with this bit, we're going to do our outside using the black suede of our ink. So again, hold this down with some magnets. I'm going for the middle, you don't have to. It's kind of wasteful because we're only getting one out of this panel then, but then you might use that for the aperture, so there's nothing wrong really, but you could certainly be a bit more frugal if you wanted to be. So we're going to go around the edge of this with our black suede ink, and we're going to stamp that down. Oh, I love that. That looks beautiful. Hopefully you can see this. It's all about the shimmer with these metallic inks. And I don't know how well you're going to get to see that on screen, but they've got such a lovely shimmer to them. They really are very, very pretty. So I was using the ornate tiles for this one, and I really like this large pendant part on this one because A, that makes a perfect Christmas bauble, and you might wish to stamp some other stamps in the middle of here. It doesn't have to be our stamps, but you could stamp a whole manner of stamps in there. You might wish to go to the birthday set, for instance, and bring in the little present stamp and stamp that in there and turn those into Christmas baubles if you want to. But actually what we're going to do is we're going to go to the butterfly set, which I can't remember the name of, and we're going to go for this stamp here, which doesn't have any edges to it. It's one of the few that doesn't have the outside pendant shape to it. And this is really cool because it means that we can use it for a lot more than just the pendants, as well as using it for the pendant. So we're going to place that down in the middle. We're going to pick that up and we're going to bring in our brushed gold. So we're stamping in 2 different colours, which again is something I really like, that the frame gives us the ability to do that, because if we can stamp it, 1 colour on the outside, 1 colour on the inside, and it just gives a point of difference. So we'll stamp that a couple of times, get that nice and crisp and looking pretty. And then you can see you've got that gold element. Isn't that lovely? Even if you left it there, you know, you absolutely could just leave it there if you want to, but we will take it 1 step further. If I can find, here we are. Well, bring in a paintbrush. Well, actually, I'm going to get a smaller blending mat. So you see the large blending mats that we've been working with. I'm also going to bring in one of our smaller blending mats. You get 6 of these in a packet for recommended retail price of £5.99. You get 2 of the large ones in a packet for the recommended retail price of £5.99. And again, they're now available at Stockists. So if you haven't already seen them or track them down, check out the Stockist list if you would like to know more. Then we're going to pick up some of the royal purple and we're going to go ahead and start painting in our flower. Now, I don't need to do a lot of this. I just wanted to show you a quick bit, but it shows how you can paint with them. And the gold isn't reactivating, the gold's staying in place. So there's no fear of that blurring or becoming a problem. One of the bits I did want to mention to you is if you want a green for your foliage, we haven't yet bought you a green, but if you take the gold and the blue and mix them together to create a green paint, that works really nicely and will give you that sort of green shading that you're going to want for your foliage. So don't be afraid to mix your own colours. Of course, take them out onto a tile and do it in this format, but it just gives you more scope to play with them. And again, if you think between all 5 colours in this release, how many different concepts and colours you could create, I should imagine there's quite an opportunity there to get creative and make quite a few different variations. So when you've finished this, I haven't finished mine, I've only done a few bits of it, but once you've finished yours, then comes the die cutting element of this project. So of course, I'm sure you know this, but we have our tile die set, that's this set here, and we can go in and we can pick off the matching die set and we can place that over the top, send that through the machine, and then that's going to cut that panel out for us so that we don't have to. Now on this sheet, we would then have that perfect aperture that we could work with as well if we wanted to. But we just want this bit. And I've actually taken this down a size. So if you look at this, this is the size that would fit. And this is something else I would encourage you to think about with these. Although that's the outside size of the die, if you bring in the next size down, you can easily pick the next part in that set down, if that makes sense. And you can then trim this out so you've got less of an edge around it, less width. Because I wanted my one to fit nicely in the middle here once we've brought in our layer to go underneath it. And I didn't, although I've got larger layers I could put under this, I didn't want to end up too big and covering up too much of my panel. So we're going to bring in our first one. So this is just a polar white cut. We're going to check our cards opening. We're going to go for it to be in top opening card. And we're going to place that one down. And then we're going to bring in the one that we've done here with our stamping and our painting. And we're going to place that one on the top there. So we've started building up our middle point. All of the colours are matching because we've used the same colours in the background that match in with the front. And then we're going to bring in our little sentiment panel. And this again, this is coming to us from our scalloped rectangles, but I've used the stitch line, which comes in with the deckled rectangles. And then I've stamped Sent with Love in the silver lining, and the stamp is from our floral lace sentiment stamps. And then I'm going to put that over the edge here, just to finish that one off. And that creates our second card that we're going to give away. Now I have a feeling, Peter, we are 1 hour and 20 minutes into this evening's natter. I have a feeling that we're probably sending them to sleep about now. So it might be a good idea to leave them in peace. So if you would have any questions that you would like to ask us, please pop them in the comments and I'll do my very best to answer them for you before we say goodnight. In the meantime, Pete will get picking our winner from our book competition so that we know who's going to receive the 2 projects we've made this evening. Is there any questions that we haven't yet answered? And have you got a winner in mind, Peter?
I do.
Oh, you're not usually this on it. I'm impressed.
Rude.
On it and nose. Usually, when I say to him, do we have a winner? You get that look of fear of like, oh yes, that was my job, wasn't it? So, yeah, come then, Pete.
This week we've gone with Alison Smith, who chose The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
Oh, how lovely. Congratulations,
Yeah, congrats,
Alison Smith. We will send you the booklet and the card that we've just made to give you a bit of inspiration and hopefully give you something nice. Alison, can you let me know, please, would you like me to sign them? If you would like me to sign them, I don't mind signing them for you, but I absolutely don't have to if you don't want me to. If you would like to give them away or do something with them, I don't want you to have my graffiti on them. But if you would like me to graffiti them, please let me know and I will absolutely do that for you. And if you can do that in a private message and send us your address, that would be grand, and then I will get them to be posted out to you straight away so that you're not... Oh, I show you this book. It weren't this book. Pete took the right book, but it's the version we made. That's my one, isn't it? So yeah, we're getting it back. I don't want to claim it's the wrong one. So there is your booklet that you will win, and there is your card as well. So Alison will pop them in the post to you. I'll give them back to Pete, safekeeping. And if they don't get received in the post, then we blame Pete.
Just blame me.
Blame Pete. As if we'd do that. Now, I want to show you a couple of bits before we go, if that's okay with you all. I know you're probably all running for the door already, but I do just want to share these couple of bits with you. We have received our lovely samples from Sharon Noble, our newest member of our design team. And I thought it would be really nice to give you a little flash of these, just as a bit more inspiration. These hadn't arrived with me in time for our highlight craft shows or last week's video, because Sharon's that new that we hadn't yet got them all sorted and with us in time. So I thought it would be nice to share these with you. And if you've got any questions, I believe Sharon's still with us if we haven't sent her to sleep. Sharon can answer your questions and I'll obviously give it a try as well if I can do. But it's just nice for you to see more samples and fresh ones that you haven't seen. We will post these as pictures, both us on the page and Sharon from her page. And of course, this is a great time to give you a little shout out to Sharon's incredible Facebook group. If you're not already a member, Sharon runs a group on Facebook called Crafty Friends United. And if you haven't already become a member to that, Sharon shares a lot of her work in there and shares a lot of our videos and bits too. So you might wish to become a member of that group if you haven't already. It's just nice to have more inspiration from other places. This I absolutely loved. I thought this was such a cool little gift bag, using the stencils, bringing together the dies, bringing in the stamps on top of them. And also what I really like Sharon's done is she's run like a glittery gel pen around the ridge that the dies create, which just gives you sort of a faux layer and a bit of sparkle, which I thought was really lovely. This one I thought was really cool as well. I like all of them, but I really like how she hasn't shied away from orange. Orange isn't a colour I use very often, but it's really lovely to see. And I also like the little ribbons at the top and the trio of panels in the middle. Now this is different. Sharon's taken a canvas pencil case and stamped on it with the stamps and coloured them in using, I believe, the metallic inks, and then building up on top of that with some pens. Another little MDF project. You know we love our MDF. But a little craft room plaque here, again stamped on and then layered with some wooden letters to give you some ideas. I felt this was very steampunk and really liked it. I know Sharon was going for more of a Moroccan feel, but either or works really nicely. And then another little project for you is one of our large MDF tags. And I love the way Sharon has made these little tags run across the bottom, that little twine piece to make the border. Great way of bringing in the hot air balloon stamp from the lace, floral lace collection. And I like the way she's added the little bits of jute or rope onto that as the hanging basket element that's also matching in with these. And then of course you can see the tile stamps in the background and splatters with the metallic inks just over the top of the gesso that's been used on the MDF tag. So that gives you a bit of inspiration from that lot. If you have any questions with them, let me know and I will answer them for you, or we will let you know later. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you, and I was hoping we was going to get here tonight, but we haven't quite because of time. But next week, I'm going to show you how to create rosettes out of our brand new rectangle nesting dies. Now, I know there's lots of clever clogs out there already who are going to know and see and know how to do this. But if you don't know how to take these dies and make really cool rosettes out of them. Next week, I'm going to show you even more samples than that. I'm not going to show you them all now. And I'll show you how to do it, because it's nice to add to your library of inspiration and give you more ideas. So if you haven't already got those nesting dies, they are out today, along with all of the tile collection, all of the metallic inks, all of this lot is now out and available for you. Not only with Highlight Crafts, but also with all of our stockists as well. And if they haven't got it yet, either give them a nudge and tell them that you want it and to let you know when it arrives, or keep an eye out, because hopefully they will be announcing that it's arrived in the next few days. How you're going to choose between the dies, the stencils, and of course the metallic inks, I've got no idea. But we're here to give you lots more inspiration, and keep an eye out on the page over the coming days, where there'll be more posts, more inspiration coming your way. And don't forget to keep an eye out for that video I teased you about earlier too, because I'm hoping you'll really enjoy that one, because it's nice to share more inspiration from older collections as well as new ones, and actually show you how everything works together, because that's really important to us too. So if there's no last questions, I'm going to say good night to you all. But thank you, as always, for joining us. Genuinely, it's a pleasure to be with you. And I'll be back for our next Thursday night natter, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Thanks for joining all. Good night from me, and good night from Pete.
Good night all. See you soon.
See you next week. Bye for now. I always say that. I never know how to end it. Bye.